Hello, everyone. Welcome to your astrological insights for the week of March 16th, 2026. I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. So last week, the sky asked us to surrender. Mercury retrograde in Pisces was still pulling us inward. The balsamic moon called for the stillness, and the cosmos was whispering at us, not quite yet. We rested, we let go. We sat with what was unfinished, and we allowed the silence to just do its work. This week, though, I got to say that silence is breaking wide open. We are not easing into this week. We are crossing a serious threshold, and it's one that only comes once a year. This week is bringing us Mercury retrograde conjuncting the North Node in Pisces, where those fated messages arrive, destiny aligned, and downloads surface. We have a new moon in Pisces. It's our final new moon of Pisces in this season, and it's a potent portal right now because it's right at the edge of our zodiac wheel. And then the sun entering Aries and that spring equinox beginning the beginning of our astrological new year. Big one, Mercury stations direct in Pisces, and it's finally going to start lifting that retrograde fog we've been living in. Then the sun's conjuncting Neptune in Aries, our first great alignment of our astrological new year, and it's going to be visionary and really wide open for us. So, three cosmic gates open in 4 days. So, it's not going to be a quiet week by any stretch. This is the week that everything that was preparing to begin or that you were starting on begins. So, we're going to zoom out first as we usually do, then we're going to walk through each day. So, the last new moon of the astrological year arrives midweek, and it's soaked in that full richness of Pisces. New moons are always beginnings. They're blank pages, seedling moments. But a new moon in Pisces carries a particular kind of magic for us. This is the sign of dreams, of compassion, really that disillusion of separation. So, whatever you're beginning under this lunation has the texture of something felt really before you ever see it. The sun and moon meet here in the final degrees of Pisces just hours before that sun crosses into Aries. And this new moon is liminal. It sits exactly at the ending of one zodiacal cycle and that breath before another. Your intentions here are the seeds planted at this very cusp, and they don't just begin that new lunar cycle, they begin our new astrological year. So the question this new moon is asking is not what do you want to accomplish? It's what do you want to feel as you begin? So set intentions from that emotional inner body place on that night. Pisces rewards the frequency of a wish, not just the logistics. On Friday morning, the sun crosses the Aries point at 0 degrees Aries, and our new astrological year is here. That vernal equinox, our first day of spring for us in the Northern Hemisphere, day and night meet and they balance, right? This begins that perfect balance of day and night, and then it starts to tip and light begins to win again. So, what has been dormant underneath the earth begins to stir. For those of our members and listeners that are in the Southern Hemisphere, this is where you're starting to shift, right? And you're starting to begin to see the fall and things to go underground. But every year, as we talk about this from the Northern Hemisphere, that sun's entry into Aries feels like waking up. That Pisces season, the beautiful and vast and internally rich details it's been given. It gives us something sharper, more embodied, more urgent. Aries wants to move. Aries wants to be, right? This year, Aries is not an empty stage. Saturn and Neptune are both already there, and the sun is stepping immediately into it, making it a very powerful stellium. So Aries season 2026 is not a gentle awakening, it's a significant one. The new year begins with vision, and that's our Neptune, structure in Saturn, and then that raw ignition of the self in Aries, all speaking at once. So dream boldly, and then we're going to build on it. Just hours after the sun enters Aries, Mercury is officially going to station direct in Pisces. The retrograde is over. Since late February, Mercury has been walking us backward through the depths of Pisces, asking us to revisit, rethink, and refeel. Conversations that got lost, maybe creative visions that needed another pass, inner knowing that needed more time to surface before it could be spoken. Mercury now stations direct at the same degree where the retrograde began, and it will take a few more days to fully gain speed. To gain that speed. So don't expect like to be coming out of the fog or it to lift completely, right? We're still in that shadow. But if the directional shift is going to start feeling very real and it is palpable, our information begins moving forward again. Decisions that felt really murky for us may finally have some clarity. The things you've been holding in soft suspension, they can start to settle down. Because Mercury stations direct in Pisces, it's going to remain there until mid-April. Its forward motion really stays intuitive and tender. Clarity here arrives in those images and feelings, the soft knowing. So meet it on its own terms. Then, right before Mercury turns direct, it makes one more pointed alignment, a conjunction with the North Node in Pisces. The North Node is the access for our collective destiny, the direction the soul is being called toward, right? Our karmic destiny. Mercury retrograde arriving here at just that exact degree, just days before we go direct, it's not on accident. Something fated moves through Tuesday. It's an old conversation that's resurfacing, maybe taking on new weight. It's a realization that you first glimpsed and saw weeks ago returning with clarity for you. It's a message, literal or inner, that delivers something you needed to receive before you could move forward. In Pisces, this will be subtle. It won't arrive like a lightning bolt, but if you're paying attention, something is going to click for you on Tuesday that feels both new, but yet deeply and quietly familiar. All right, so now we're going to get into each day, day by day. On Monday, March 16th, our week opens gently but with purpose. The moon is in Aquarius, and at 7:51 a.m. it sextiles Chiron in Aries, a soft, supportive connection between the collective awareness of Aquarius and the healing warrior of Aries. This is an invitation to look at where you've been hurting, not with dread, but with curiosity. There's something communal in the wound today. You're not the only one carrying it, and acknowledging that might itself be your own form of medicine. By 1:56 p.m., the moon squares Uranus in Taurus. It's an electric tension that's moving through the afternoon. You may feel restless, like something in your routine is being pushed up against. Small disruptions, unexpected shifts in our plans. Maybe it's a flash of impatience with that familiar. This is Uranus doing what it really does. It's loosening its too tight grip. Let it move through you rather than fight it. At 5:15 p.m., the moon enters Pisces and everything softens. The energy shifts from airy and collective to fluid and internal. The week is about to become very Piscean. New moon, Mercury retrograde's final days, and this moon entrance is going to set that tone. Let the evening be spacious. Let yourself just float a little. At 7:02 p.m., the sun in Pisces sextiles Juno in Capricorn. It's a lovely close to our day on Monday. Juno governs partnership and commitment, and sextiling the sun brings just that moment of alignment between who you are and who you're choosing to be in a relationship. Long-term commitments feel grounded tonight. Existing partnerships may offer a quiet sense of rightness about them. Maybe that you chose well. Highs for Monday for us include the Moon Chiron sextile for gentle communal healing, and then that Sun Juno sextile for relational warmth and steadiness. Our lows include the Moon Uranus square, which can stir some afternoon restlessness or disrupt our routines. Our overall tone for Monday is transitional, softening, and quietly healing. As we move into Tuesday, March 17th, this is one of the most significant days of the week, maybe of our month. At 9:22 a.m., the moon in Pisces conjuncts the North Node, and it's the first of three powerful conjunctions. The moon touching the North Node activates the destiny frequency for us. Emotions, dreams, and intuitive nudges today, they are not random. They're pointing you somewhere. Just 2 minutes later at 9:24 a.m., that moon conjuncts Mercury retrograde in Pisces. It's a conversation, a memory, a thought lit up by that moon sensitivity and Mercury's backward review process, right? In Pisces. So what surfaces in the morning carries weight. Make sure just write it down. Then at 11:08 a.m., the biggest aspect of the day, Mercury retrograde conjuncts the North Node in Pisces. It's rare and pointed. Mercury retrograde is walking us backward right through Pisces, and it's arriving here at the axis of our collective destiny to deliver something. Maybe a message. Maybe it's a realization, a conversation that needed to happen. Something said weeks ago, now landing for you in a brand new way. Just remember in Pisces, this is never going to be loud. But if you are listening, paying attention, something's going to click on Tuesday that feels both brand new and really deeply already known. At 2:46 p.m., the moon conjuncts Mars in Pisces and emotion and action fuse. After a morning of internal downloads, this afternoon aspect wants you to move. But Mars in Pisces moves with feeling, not force. This is the urge to do something about what your heart is showing you. Even a small gesture in the direction of what you know is enough. The day closes with that moon trining Jupiter in Cancer at 8:18 p.m. And it's a generous, expansive note of emotional faith. Whatever this day has stirred up, Jupiter's telling you you can hold this, you can grow through it. Tuesday's high include Mercury retrograde conjunct North Node, which is bringing that potential major fated downloads for us. And then the Moon Jupiter trine for evening warmth. Tuesday's lows include that Mercury retrograde is still active and the communication can feel really sensitive or uncertain in Pisces right now. Our tone overall for Tuesday is faded, emotionally potent, and really download heavy. Wednesday, March 18th brings the new moon in Pisces, and this is really the heart of our week. The day begins with productive tension before the portal really opens. At 10:08 a.m., Venus in Aries is squaring Jupiter in Cancer. It's dynamic, what we desire, which is our Venus in Aries and is bold and self-directed, craving autonomy, and what we really need for emotional security. And that's our Jupiter in Cancer is nurturing, it's generous, it's rooted in home and belonging. This aspect can inflate feelings around relationships, money, self-worth. There's a generosity versus excess quality possible, or simply the feeling that you want more than seems reasonable, especially right now. Sit with that tension rather than deciding or spending from that place of inflation, right? Excuse me. At 2:20 p.m., the sun in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. It's a flash of inspiration for us, and it's arriving just before the new moon. Something breaks wide open in a quietly electric way. It's a creative idea, a practical insight, an unexpected opening. This is the final significant aspect before the sun makes its crossing into Aries. It's a last gift to you in the Pisces season. So receive the spark because at 7:02 p.m. that moon sextiles Uranus as well, echoing the sun's earlier contract. Intuition and innovation are in dialogue. Something feels electrically possible in the hours before the lunation. And then at 7:23 p.m. that new moon is in Pisces. This is your portal. The sun and moon meet in the final sign of the zodiac, both saturated with Pisces' capacity for vision, forgiveness, and transcendence. Set intentions this night that carry the feeling of what you want, not just the strategy. Pisces responds to the emotional resonance of a desire, not just its content. So light a candle. Sit with what your deepest self is ready to begin. The seeds you plant tonight are the seeds of the new astrological year ahead for you. At 10:02 p.m., the moon enters Aries. Having been born in the new moon's Pisces waters, it's now taking its very first step into fire. The threshold is crossed. What was dreamed has begun to start moving forward. And our highs for Wednesday are really going to include that new moon in Pisces, bringing those powerful intentions. And then that Sun Uranus sextile for inspired flash before the lunation. Our lows or that Venus Jupiter square can inflate our desires or introduce relationship friction in the morning for us. The tone overall for Wednesday is portentous, liminal, and dreamy electric. I love dreamy electric. Hi, I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. I hope you're enjoying this week's Astrological Insights podcast. If you find that these dates resonate for you, or you just love astrology, I would love to book a reading with you and just explore your own chart, whether it's a particular location you're interested in, whether it's looking at transits that are coming for you in the future and how there's certain dates that might align better than others. Or maybe it's just knowing more about that beautiful space that you were born into and exactly how the stars aligned just for you at your time of birth. I would be honored to speak with you. Head to immersivespirit.com and look for our services. You'll find several options there waiting for you, and I'll be excited to talk with you and dig into your astrological chart. Now, back to our podcast. On Thursday, March 19th, the new moon's energy is now fresh and the new moon is in Aries. It's meeting every significant planet gathered there, mostly in the overnight and early morning hours. So at 12:59 a.m., remember these are all mountain daylight times, that moon conjuncts Neptune in Aries while you sleep. Dreams tonight may be vivid, symbolical, prophetic. Neptune's dissolving the moon's boundaries, and in Aries, there's an anything is possible quality to our subconscious. Pay attention to what visits you in the night. At 4:51 a.m., the moon conjuncts Saturn in Aries. Form and weight meet raw emotion in the early hours before dawn. Saturn in Aries is asking, where do you need to build more backbone? The new moon's intentions need structure to become real. This is the sky offering that instruction quietly before the day really begins, right? And then at 5:53 a.m., the moon sextiles Pluto in Aquarius, and it's a quick but meaningful connection to the planet of really deep transformation, right, in Pluto. There's support here for genuine change if you're willing to release the version of yourself that just doesn't belong to this new year ahead. The morning hours are dense with activation. Daytime feels comparatively quiet. The late night moon square Jupiter in Cancer at 11:52 p.m. can bring that emotional expansiveness that really tips toward excess right before we're all going to bed. So watch for late night emotional flooding or really the restless feeling of wanting too much all at once. Rest is really its own active intention setting right now. Our highs for Thursday include the Moon Neptune connection for vivid dreaming and subconscious downloads, and that Moon Pluto sextile for transformative support. Our lows include the Moon Saturn conjunct, bringing weight and a call for discipline, and then the Moon and Jupiter square, which can overfill before we're going to bed. The tone overall for Thursday is really more nocturnal. It's internally active, but structuring in the quiet. All right, we move on to Friday, March 20th, and this is by far our most significant day of the week, possibly of the month, right? It's really, truly significant. At 3:23 a.m., that moon in Aries conjuncts Venus in Aries. In the pre-dawn hours, love and desire and beauty, they all feel urgent and really close. Something you've been hoping for around relationships or creative work feels closer than it has in weeks. At 8:45 a.m., the sun enters Aries and our new astrological year officially begins. Every chart cast from this moment now is a chart of the new season. Aries is the first sign, the cardinal fire ignition point. The moment the universe says go, the sun arriving here steps immediately into a sign occupied by Saturn, which is structure, and Neptune, our vision, meaning the new year opens with the invitation to dream with discipline, to imagine, and then build. What you're willing to work for and what you most want are about to align. Step into this year with intention. You've been preparing for it. And at 1:32 p.m., Mercury stationing direct in Pisces. So now take a breath. Something you've been holding in soft suspension is finally going to begin moving forward. Conversations can be completed. Decisions that were hazy may start to settle. Creative work that felt stuck can resume. Mercury in Pisces will remain through mid-April, staying in its intuitive and sensitive mode. So clarity will continue to arrive in feelings and images much more than logic over this time. But trust that too. At 4:22 p.m., the moon conjuncts Chiron in Aries, the final significant transit of this enormous day. The healer and the moon meet in the sign of the self. Acknowledge what has been wounded in this season of deepening. The equinox is not only about beginning or about springing forward. It's about the tender thing that you carry across this threshold and what you're ready to finally let meld together. Our Friday highs include the sun entering Aries. Happy astrological new year, right? Mercury stationing direct and that fog lifting, and the moon Venus connection in the early hours. Friday's lows include the moon and Chiron bringing potentially emotional tenderness or surfacing some old wounds in the afternoon. But overall, our tone for Friday is monumental. It's threshold crossing, electrifying, and tender in equal measure. So, an interesting day all around. On Saturday, March 21st, our new astrological year has officially begun. Mercury's moving forward, and today the energy it gentles into something really earthy and grounded because our moon is fully moving into Taurus at 12:35 a.m. Stepping out of the fire of Aries and really into the sensual and steady realm of Mother Earth. After a week of powerful activations, Taurus says, stay here, feel this, enjoy the moment. At 2:45 p.m., the moon sextiles Mercury in Pisces, which is now direct, connecting our emotional body to our finely forward moving minds with gentleness and imagination. This is a beautiful aspect for journaling, creative work, or any conversation that's been waiting for clarity from you. At 3:15 p.m., the moon sextiles the north node in Pisces, aligning where we're building. Taurus is patient and embodied, right? With where we're being called. And that's the Pisces north node, which is our spiritual destiny path. There's a sense of being in our right relationship with time today. What you're doing and what you're being called to do are really touching. The evening brings the most expansive transit of the weekend at 6:01 p.m. Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer, and this is a gift. Mars in Pisces has been gathering spiritual and emotional energy for weeks, and it's motivated by compassion, driven by soul level purpose. It's acting from feeling. Then we have Jupiter in Cancer, and that's a great amplifier of emotional abundance, home, and belonging. When these two meet in a trine, it's a flowing and generous aspect. Action meets opportunity in the most beautiful way. Efforts made from a place of genuine care and real faith begin to find their reward now. This is a wonderful evening for creative work, acts of generosity, time with family, or simply allowing yourself to receive what you've been quietly working toward. And the day's closing with that moon square Pluto in Aquarius at 8:55 p.m. It's a moment of intensity before rest. Something demands a reckoning before you sleep. Let it surface, name it, and then let it be. Highs for Saturday include Mars Jupiter trine for soul aligned momentum and abundance, the moon Mercury sextile for imaginative clarity, and the moon north node sextile for right time feeling. Our lows really include that moon and Pluto square in the late evening, which can bring kind of an intensity or a power, and those dynamics can come to the surface, right, and be surface level. Our overall tone for Saturday is grounded, it's abundant, and ultimately it's quietly triumphant. On Sunday, March 22nd, the week closes gently. It's wrapped in Taurus and dreaming forward. Overnight, the moon sextiles Jupiter in Cancer at 1:56 a.m. and then sextiles Mars in Pisces at 2:22 a.m. And while you sleep, there's a dreamy sense of emotional abundance and gentle forward movement. It's echoing Saturday's evening's expansive trine in spirit. At 4:27 a.m., the crescent moon phase begins in Taurus, the first crescent moon of the new lunar cycle born from Wednesday's new moon in Pisces. The seeds you planted are sprouting. The crescent moon phase has a natural forward tilt. It asks you not just to intend, but to actually commit, to take one small tangible step in the direction of what you've been calling in. At 5:18 a.m., the sun in Aries conjuncts Neptune in Aries, the first major alignment of the new astrological year. The sun, newly arrived in Aries just 2 days ago, fuses with Neptune, and it's the planet of dreams, transcendence, collective vision, and that mystical knowing that we love. This is wide open, expansive beginning. There is a vision being handed to you right now that goes really beyond logic. Excuse me. May feel like a longing more than really a plan, maybe a pull more than an objective, but trust that. Neptune in Aries is pioneering spiritual territory that hasn't been touched in over 150 years. What arrives in your inner vision now is genuine. The week closes at 11:39 p.m. with the moon conjunct Uranus and Taurus, an electric, unexpected pulse to end your day. Something shifts or really surprises you at that very last moment. Let it. All right, our highs for Sunday include the crescent moon beginning, which is our new moon seeds are sprouting. Yay! And then that Sun Neptune for visionary New Year dreams. Our lows include the Sun Neptune connection, potentially blurring the practicality. So, not an ideal for any contracts or major concrete decisions. And ultimately, Mercury is still coming out of the shadow, right, of that retrograde. Our tone for Sunday, though, is really dreamy, visionary, excuse me, quietly electric. All right, so let's zoom out. This week does not ask you to try harder. It's asking you to arrive. We have 3 cosmic gates open in 4 days, a new moon to plant your deepest seeds, an equinox to step into the new year, Mercury going direct to clear that fog that's been sitting over our communication and clarity since February. All of it's happening in the liminal space between Pisces and Aries, between the dream and the doing, between the dissolving and the igniting. If there's a thread running through every day this week, it's this. You've been preparing for something. The whole of Pisces seasons, the retrograde, the surrendering, the deep inner work, it was not wasted time. It was the underground labor of a seed right before the ground breaks. This week, the ground breaks. Mercury conjunct the North Node on Tuesdays, whispering you already know what you came here to do. The new moon on Wednesday says, set the intention anyway, but from your deepest emotional truth. The equinox on Fridays declaring now, get started. You don't have it all figured out. The sun entering Aries and immediately meeting Saturn says, show up with commitment, even without that certainty. And Neptune in Aries says, bring your vision, bring your faith, and your wildest imagining. And let that be enough to get you started. This new astrological year is all yours. And if you want help understanding how this new moon, the equinox, Mercury going direct, are activating in your own personal chart, I would love to help you explore your own unique map. And if this forecast resonated for you, please like, share, subscribe, and then I want you to drop in the comments below. What are you leaving behind in the Pisces season? And what are you calling in for the astrological new year? All right. Thanks for joining. I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. And until next week, stay grounded and keep looking up.